Hello, all, and welcome to my channel. I'm Angela Brennan, and thank you for sharing some time with me. Today, I'm going to try a new technique, no-line watercoloring, with the New Poppy Garden stamp. I've had the stamp for a little while, and I've been wanting to try no-line watercoloring for a little while, but a bit afraid to try the watercoloring because I'm quite new to it. So here we go. I will be using distressings and some watercolors, Magello Mission watercolors. I'm going to try a couple of different techniques, sometimes a wet on wet technique and sometimes dry on wet technique. Essentially, a dry on wet technique is when the paper is dry and you're just putting wet paint on it. A wet on wet technique is when you wet the paper with some clean water and then you put paint on it. I try both ways. I try different mediums, which is distress ink and watercolors. And I find that I do like the wet on wet technique a lot more because it's easier for a newbie. In watercoloring, there are three things you need. You need the watercoloring paper, you need the paint and the brush. Now, they're not cheap, but if there's one thing you want to invest in, invest on good watercoloring paper. The watercolor paper needs to be good because you're going to use a lot of water. A cheap watercolor paper will not do well with a lot of water on it. So I used the Canson Mortwell 300 GSM paper. Now, it's not the best. It's not your artist grade, but it's great for practicing for new people. But it is able to handle water really well. And after a few tries, what I end up doing is the wet on wet technique, where I flood the area with some clean water and then I put watercolor on it and I let the water do the job. I let the water move the paint and let the colors blend. You'll see what I mean. I'm going to leave you with some music and I'll come back a little bit later. But essentially what I try to do, I'm trying a few different techniques. Now the first stamp that I do, it's a little bit daunting because it's quite a large image that I stamp with all the masking tape that I use. Now I end up doing another image which I try my methods with and I end up liking it. So I do make two cuts. I'm not going to show you all the watercoloring because that will take forever. Watercoloring is about putting a layer on, letting it dry and putting another layer on. So it is a little bit of a labor of love, this watercoloring, no line watercoloring. You need patience and something I don't really have a lot of, but I do persevere with this technique. I end up enjoying it and I do show you how I end up coloring the card I end up with the first stamping that I do. So stick around and see. I hope you will join me in my journey of getting better at watercoloring. I do see myself doing more no line watercoloring because it's practice. Practice makes perfect. And let me tell you, I am no watercolorer. I'm not good at these things. I've seen so many projects done with this style. I really like it, so I'm giving it a go. I hope you will too, and maybe we can learn together. See you in a bit. I go on to finish the painting off camera, and then I don't quite like the second color from the bottom. I like the top too. The second color, that one's too close to the red. Do I bin the whole thing? So what I do is I paint that separately in a different piece of paper. I use blues and greens here. So I use Mermaid, Lagoon, Peacock Feathers, Blueprint Sketch, as well as Fossilized Amber. These are the 4 colors I use on that painting. Now, I decide to paint that. What the intention is to die cut that separately and stick it onto that flower arrangement. So that's what I do. And I fussy cut the rest of it. But what I do, the top flower, the blue and purple flower at the top, I partial die cut it with the available die, just to reduce the whole fussy cutting that I need to do. I cut the whole thing with a white margin to stick it onto my card. So I just die cut it partially and fussy cut the rest with a pair of scissors. So this is my first attempt at no-line watercoloring. Here's 2 cards. I hope to get better at it, and I hope to share better videos with you on how I do the wet and wet technique with different medias, and I do want to get around to using the various watercolor sets that I do have. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like the video and consider subscribing. Until the next video, stay safe and thank you for spending time with me. Take care.